Hello, David here with
Courtney.
and this is episode 10, double digits of the Post-Race Podcast. And this is a special episode because it's kind of a bonus episode.
Yeah.
So if you guys recall, the last episode we had, which was about the DuPont Trail Half Marathon, we left you off by saying that we were not going to be doing a race until
the 23rd of March.
Yeah, until the end of March. So this is kind of a bonus. Wasn't expected, and here we are. So how this came about was, I guess I was in Savannah, Georgia for work, and I was perusing the old Ultra sign-up, as you do when you're in your hotel room late at night and can't sleep. And this race popped up because I realized quickly that I wasn't going to be able to run like I thought I was going to be able to when I was out there. So I was out there for business for about a week. And, I was thinking, after some meetings and stuff, maybe I could pop in a run or something like that. And it just didn't work out that way. So I was behind on, what little training I planned to do anyways. And so I was hoping, well, maybe we can just make a fun weekend out of it and do a training run out, somewhere cool. So I was looking through Ultra Sign Up, and sure enough, I found something pretty cool.
Yeah, this race was great. Really fun one.
So yeah, and I was looking for something in that half marathon range, and luckily I found something. So what I found and then proposed to Courtney, and then she agreed to, was a race called Race to the Cape. This was put on by Bivouac Racing, and they were some very nice people, but we'll get to that. But anyways, this race is one of a couple of races they put on. And it takes place out in Cape Lookout State Park, Oregon. I'm so used to saying Washington. But yeah, this takes place in Cape Lookout State Park in Oregon, on the coast. I had actually never heard of Cape Lookout State Park, so I had no idea that this cool area even existed. And for those that are unfamiliar with the area, this is probably about, I don't even know, maybe an hour east. Oh, no, sorry, an hour west of Portland. I'm butchering that. But, yeah, so anyways, for us, we live in Olympia, Washington. And so this was about a 3.5-hour drive. Now, one of the nice things about this race is that it took place on a Sunday.
Yeah, that was great.
Which was very great for us because you worked on Saturday.
Yep, I worked until about 7:30 or so.
That's
at
PM.
Night.
Yeah, and so the plan was we were just like, okay, well, we'll just head there right after Courtney gets off work and just start driving and hopefully, get there. We actually stayed in Tillamook, Oregon, which is where the cheese and everything, the dairy products come from, if anyone is a fan of Tillamook. So we did that drive. I mean,
I think we made it at 10:30?
Yeah, it was about 11.
Yeah.
Probably something like that. So we just stayed in some junky Shiloh Inn.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty cheap. I think it was a Shiloh Inn.
It was, yes.
Okay, yeah. And so, yeah, we just drove down there. We got Burgerville. You had it for the first time.
Burgerville's not good.
It wasn't that good that time. I've had it, and it's been okay before. I mean, it's fast food. It's whatever, but
it was gross.
Yeah, okay. Well, either way, we had a nice little drive down there.
Yeah, the drive was great.
And the weather, surprisingly enough, cooperated very well.
The weather was so good.
For those that don't know, the Pacific Northwest has had some wonky weather the past month, really.
Yeah.
And so you just never know what you're going to get right now. So we got super lucky. So diving into the race details, again, the race was called Race to the Cape, and it took place on March 3rd, 2019. So this was our third weekend in a row doing a race. They were all close to that half marathon distance. So this was another half marathon. The race also offered a quarter marathon, and this was the first year that they put on that half marathon distance at least. And so anyways, one of the things that appealed to me on top of the price, which was only $55.
And for this race, that is such a steal. This was one of the prettiest races I've ever run.
Yeah, and for that, you got some food and beverage before and after the race, as well as
awesome mug,
a very nice coffee mug.
Very sturdy.
and kind of one true aid station that you got to hit twice, and then a little bit of a water break too.
Oh
somewhere
yeah,
there.
the water break too. Yeah.
So well supported, and they had some nice soups and food afterward, and
Clam chowder.
they have some special giveaways, and there were some cool things about the race that we'll talk about here in a minute. But just to describe kind of the course, like I said, something that appealed to me was they described this course as a black diamond level course, which relates to, I guess, like skiing and snowboarding. And so that was like, oh, cool, a hard race. I like the sound of that.
That scared me.
Well, I'm more just like, yeah, I'd like to see how hard it actually is. And it was pretty hard. I mean, it was definitely technical. And so on their website, yeah, they say, Black Diamond, it is a tough and rugged technical race. It takes place, a little bit on the beach, takes place largely on the cliffs next to the beach. And so you have a lot of roots and rocks and the potential for a lot of mud.
Yes, a lot of mud.
And yeah, so all of that was true. There was a lot of all of those things. And so, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of climbing as well. I think total my watch said around
about
3,000 feet of climbing. And my watch said 12.75 miles total.
I don't know if my watch was off, but my watch said about 2,800 feet of climbing and 12 miles exactly.
Yeah, and I think most people that I had talked to, their watch was somewhere in between 12 and a quarter and 12.75. So it was somewhere, we'll just say it's 12 and a half probably was the actual distance, somewhere in there. And so, yeah, we went out there not really expecting much. I mean, I don't know. I was
didn't
just
really
mostly
know
hoping to get a decent training run and maybe get some footage.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect with the race itself. There was an elevation kind of profile, which I'm pretty poor at reading. But yeah, there was an elevation profile, but I wasn't entirely sure like what the total elevation of the course would be. So I was kind of banking on it being about 2,000 feet again or so, and pretty rough and rugged. So that scared me a little bit, but yeah, we'll talk more about it once we start talking about the race itself. But training leading up to that, did you not get in much or what?
Well, these podcast episodes have been so close together. Yeah, I literally did nothing. What the heck? Our cat is again moving things and disrupting the podcast. So yeah, my training, not much happened. I mean, I was pretty much in Savannah, Georgia, doing nothing except just being in meetings all day. I had a good time, but yeah, it was very work heavy. A lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, and then work before and after those meetings. And so didn't really have a chance to do anything. I didn't even get a chance to go out like on a treadmill. I pretty much just went from my hotel room in the morning after I woke up and showered back to my hotel room at night after the meetings and the dinners and all that. So there really was not much of an opportunity for me to get out and run. So I don't think I ran at all since the DuPont half marathon. I think I ran the Friday and Saturday before the race when I got back. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah, actually my training was not the best for that week leading up to the half. I had run probably 12 or maybe 15 miles or so. So about 3 miles a day, if that. And then we had the race. So not anything crazy. Didn't really, I mean, I kind of followed my structure, but there was a couple of days where I was supposed to run like 5 to 7 and only got in like 3. So not too crazy.
What did your total end up being for that week?
It was 26 miles. And I think it was supposed to be 31. So
yeah, I think mine was 20.
Yeah.
20 miles total. Something like that. So, yeah, not getting much training in. But, what are you going to do?
That was one of my lower weeks, though. So I've still been doing pretty good. That was just, I worked quite a bit of doubles. And then just laziness took over.
I've just been on a continuous taper since my 100 miler. So it's just getting worse and worse. No, hopefully I'll pick it up here once the snow chills out and I can get back out on the trails and get some decent mileage in. So, anyways, what is the next topic?
Next topic is our race goals, what we had in mind for this.
Well, this is worse than my training because I basically was just going out there to do a training run because I hadn't ran much that week, and it was just it lined up nice with my schedule. So no real goal other than to hopefully get some cool footage, which special treat for those watching on YouTube. I'll just dump the footage that I put up or that I took while on course with my DJI Osmo Pocket. I'll go ahead and put that up with the podcast. So if you're watching this via YouTube, you are seeing that now if I edited this correctly. And if you're listening, just imagine really cool footage overlooking
cool.
trails on the beach.
Very smooth. Hardly even looks like you're running.
Yeah, the camera that I used for this is a pretty cool little camera. My only I do have some complaints about it, especially when compared to like the GoPro Hero 7. But I like it a lot. So, and the 3-axis gimbal makes it super smooth when you're running. Yeah, like Courtney said, you can barely tell when you are running with it. And I do have some footage where other people are running in there too, so you can kind of see the difference there. But it is definitely a very nice camera. I like it a lot. And it was like $350, so a little steep. But I mean, for a 3-axis gimbal camera that fits, in your vest when you're running.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice size. Pretty small.
Yeah, so it was nice. But yeah, I had no goal other than just to hopefully have a good time and get a run in.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect going into this, so I kind of had the same goal. Just a nice mileage kind of training run for me because I needed the miles for the week. Like I said, I didn't do very many, so I was definitely banking on it being a half marathon instead of 12 miles. But so just a couple of training miles. And then once I started looking at the profile, I started to have like a time in mind that I wanted to finish by. But other than that, not anything too crazy, just have fun. I saw the pictures from the course, which were absolutely beautiful. So that was super exciting for me because I love water. So anything where I get to see water makes me happy. So yeah, I don't know. I just was going into it to have fun. Not anything too crazy.
Yeah. So hopefully these podcasts will get a little bit more interesting when we actually are doing bigger races.
Harder. But yeah.
But for now, these little dinky half marathons and stuff, hey man, they're filling time and
helping me with my training.
Yeah, that's for sure. So if you guys are only listening to this to listen to ultra talk, it's coming. Just give it like a month or two, and we'll be back to running ultras. So, anyways,
did you have a time in mind that you wanted to finish?
Hell no. Nope. Just finish. Just have a good time. No real time goal.
My time goal was about 4 hours. Finish in under 4 hours was what I was thinking.
Yeah, I had no idea how the course was going to be, so it just didn't matter to me. Just hopefully film some stuff and have a good time.
All right, well, let's start it out.
What's next?
Race.
You want to start or you want me?
Well, we talked about the weather already, but the weather was gorgeous. So we stayed the night in Shiloh Inn. We woke up a lot earlier than we probably needed to, but that was good. Prepared us a bit. We woke up at about 6:30, left the hotel at around 7. Drive was roughly 30-ish minutes. And we did get a little turned around just because the directions weren't the best.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you just use the directions right off Ultrasign up, it led you to
the aid station,
yeah. Which was not where the race was being held. So that threw us off a little bit, which was a little unfortunate. And luckily, we did get there early because
we were the first ones there, actually.
Yeah, we did end up still being the first ones to check in.
But yeah, we got there at about 7. Well, probably like 7:30, 7:45 or so. Sat in the truck for a bit because it was cold.
It was chilly, yeah.
And we sat in the truck for a bit, and then even by the time that we had picked up our bibs, we still happened to be the first ones to pick up our bibs. So, and that was about 8:00, and the race started at 9. So, yeah, we got there pretty early, and then slow going, just sat in the truck for probably another 35 minutes or so, waiting for everybody to huddle up so we didn't have to stand in the freezing cold. And yeah, the race started at 9. Well, really, it was supposed to start at 9, but the parking there there was a couple people, I guess, that maybe showed up late, or they just wanted to make sure everybody had their parking passes. And so they didn't actually start the race until 9:10, which was kind of a bummer. But
yeah, I didn't like that either. Not that it really mattered to me, but it would have been cooler to start at 9 o'clock.
Just because we had to drive, it was, I mean, anything that would be extra time was somewhat annoying.
Yeah, a little bit. But so it was $55 for the race itself. And then the parking, like you mentioned, you actually had to pay $5 to park inside the park. And so, yeah, you were in $60 deep by the end of it, unless you carpooled or have an Oregon State Parks Pass, I suppose, which we do not. And so, yeah, luckily the weather was super cool.
So great. It was cold in the beginning, but I mean, cold being like 30 degrees, maybe-ish, 30, 35.
It was like upper 30s. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, by the time we started, I mean, you didn't really notice the cold because the weather, sunshine was out, beach looked really nice.
Oh,
and yeah, it was just really pretty. So, you want to, I mean, so we started the race at 9:10 and there was only 30-ish people. This was actually a really small race compared to what we've kind of been doing. So about 30 people.
Most of the races we've done the last 3 weeks anyways have all been pretty small races.
Yeah, I guess that's
and this
true.
is really just kind of falling in line with that. So I mentioned it already, but bivouac racing, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Bivouac. But yeah, anyways, they put on the race, and it looks like it's a family and friends run operation. We talked to them a little bit before the race.
And they were
seem like
so great.
super nice people.
Yeah.
They all seem to care a lot about what they were doing. And again, they put on a great event. So nothing but kudos to those guys. And so I guess I'll just run through my section, like how the race went for me. Started off, and again, like I said, I'm just trying to mosey, basically just chill, keep my heart rate down. It's just kind of a chill training run is what I was looking at it like. And so the race actually starts off kind of just climbing for the first 2 miles, I think, actually. You're pretty much just going up almost 1,000 feet, I think, in the first 2 miles or so, with a little bit of downhill here and there. And then it just kind of evens out. And you actually go through, I don't know, I guess by mile, 5 or so? There's this really, really nice section that's just smooth as butter. And I really, really love that section. So you come up over this crest once you reach the top of the hill, and then it's just kind of this flat, right after the aid station, it's just this flat, nice section that's slightly downhill, actually. And so you just ride that all the way down pretty much to the, where you pick up this card. And when I say card, I mean like a playing deck of cards. So, you know, like I think the first thing I drew was the 10 of clubs or something like that. But anyways, what these cards represented was not only did you actually make it out to the checkpoint, because this was kind of an out and back in a couple different areas, but then it also was used for a drawing at the end of the race to determine whether or not if you got a prize.
Which was really cool. I'd never seen anything like that in races, so that was fun.
Yeah, it was really neat. So I went out, got that card, and what was super awesome, that section, once you get to the top of that hill and then down to where you draw your card, is the coolest part of the race, in my opinion. So you come up over that hill, you're running through like just these butter trails, and then you can smell, at least I could smell the ocean. And then right after that, I came out through these bushes, and then you're just running along a cliffside overlooking the ocean. You know, you're probably like 300 feet up at the time or whatever it is, and you're just overlooking this awesome view of the ocean. And then you run down, get your card, and then you come back up and go back out to that aid station. And you keep on, well, you don't actually go to the aid station. You cut back down and go all the way down to the beach, and then come all the way back up, which again is like, I think it's another 1,000 feet or something like that, or, well, actually I have the profile pulled up.
I think it's 1,500 feet.
Yeah, it's just over 1,000 feet, actually, for that 2 miles in between, like, mile 8 and 10. So the last couple miles there, you're just climbing straight up, and then you got, like, 2.5 miles of mostly downhill. And so I was running really conservatively, keeping my heart rate low, wasn't running up the hills at all, just kind of cruising the whole time, filming a bunch with my camera, as you're hopefully seeing if you're watching this on YouTube. And then I did turn it on a little bit more once I got over the hill. So at like mile 10-ish, 10 to 11, somewhere in there, I picked it up a little bit and I started to go a little bit faster. I think I ended up passing 1 or 2 people there at the end. And I think I came in 6th overall out of like 30, I think was the total. And yeah, so I was pretty happy with that. I think first place was just under 2 hours and I was 2.5 hours. So pretty big gap between me and first, but still, top 6. Not too bad, I suppose. So I had a really good time.
That's kind of where he's been at for all of his races too. He's been crushing most of those smaller races.
Yeah,
definitely top 10. And
if the race is small, I'll do all right.
If the race is small, I don't do well. Back of the pack for me all the time. But this was so for me. Same thing. Climbing in the beginning was about 1,000 feet. So that actually, it was a good warm up for me. Definitely helped get the body loose. Just climbing up a hill in the very beginning is tough. But yeah, after that, quite a bit of smooth trails, like he was saying, just overlooking the beach for about 4-ish miles or so. And then there's 2 card pickups. I don't remember what my cards were, a 10 and a 9, but I can't recall. I think one was like a 10 of hearts and maybe a 9 diamond. Could be wrong. I don't really know. But yeah, picked up our cards. And at mile, I think it was mile 6 or so, maybe mile 7, going down this really big hill, heading down towards the beach. That was probably my favorite part because I knew I was going to be able to see the beach or like step onto the beach and take some cool pictures, which I got some pretty cool pictures. I was running with a girl by the name of Sai. She's actually from, I don't entirely know where she's from, actually. I can't quite remember, but she moved to Oregon in July last year, so pretty new to the area, and she joined a running team. And so we were just kind of talking about her running, and this was actually her first race that she'd ever done. So pretty crazy first race, and probably not going to be able to top that for a while. But yeah, it was cool. We ran from, I think, mile 2.5 until pretty much the finish. So quite a bit of the race together. And we just talked the whole time. So it was a lot of fun getting to know her, and just made the course a lot easier just because I wasn't fully focused on all of those hills, or, I mean, even just bombing the downhills. That wasn't something that I did. I kind of just like slowly jogged down the hills because the routes were crazy. It was
oh yeah, it was definitely technical. I mean, there were some sections there where I fell.
I was going to say that, but I didn't know if you wanted me to, so I didn't talk about it.
No, I totally forgot about it. I can show, for those listening, not watching, I showed my elbow, which I don't even know if you can see that on the GoPro.
It's bruised too. I mean, it's definitely like a brown, dirty
But
bruise.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm filming on my DJI Osmo Pocket. Not a plug. I'm not sponsored or anything by them. Just saying that is what I use to film it. But anyways, so I'm that guy who's filming during a trail run. And I kid you not, this is less than the first half mile. I'm at like 0.34. And we just are on the trail. And like the first route that you see, I trip on because I have my camera out and I'm filming. So I filmed my fall, and it's surprisingly smooth. So the camera did a good job. But yeah, I fall on, I trip on a root, fall down, and of course I have my camera in one hand and the case for the camera in the other. So when I fall down, I can't really catch myself. And I just land straight onto these other roots that are right next to that one root, and maybe a rock or something like that. That just smashes my elbow. My arm goes numb, and I smash my knee and my leg on roots as well. And like the guy in front of me is like, "Oh my God, man, are you okay?" or whatever. And I'm just like, "Yep, I'm fine." And I get up, and my arm, I can't feel it. And my first thought was like, "Oh shit, I broke my arm. Like, this sucks." Because I have 13 miles left, basically. I was like, "God damn it." So I'm like, shittily trying to run. I'm pretty embarrassed because I just fell while holding a camera. And, it was in the beginning of the race, so everyone's still all clumped together. So, pretty much everyone saw it. And so I'm just like running with my arm kind of shittily in my, like next to my vest, just trying not to move it because I don't know if I broke it or not yet. And so the feeling slowly starts to come back. And along with that, I get some stinging. And I realized, okay, it's just like bloody probably. And I could feel my arm move okay. And it wasn't like hurting that bad. So I was like, okay, I probably just like scraped it up and, smashed it or something and hit my funny bone or something weird. So that was kind of an interesting little hiccup to the beginning of the race. But it turned out okay. I mean, I'm fine now. So my knee kind of hurts and my leg is bruised and my elbow is bruised and my ego is definitely bruised. But outside of all that, the rest of the race went really well for me. And at least that was a good warning because it could have been worse, and I could have tripped and fallen in a different spot in the race where, you could literally fall off a cliff, which there were many spots like that. So definitely could have been worse. But yeah, that was one of the highlights of my race.
Yeah, for me, so I was running with that girl Sai for quite a bit of the race, and then I actually fell twice as well. Mine was nothing compared to sorry, our cat is on the table again, but mine was nothing compared to David's. Mine was just like a very minor like slip on a rock, and it could have been probably bad, but side that I was running with, she was actually right behind me and like kind of pushed me back up because I could have possibly hit my head on the rock, but that didn't happen. So but so for me, the roots were crazy. Mud was
pretty bad.
Mud was pretty bad
in some sections.
Yeah, in some spots. Like there would be spots where I'd step my foot in and not realize it was going to go all the way to my sock and then try to take my foot out and almost like having my shoe come off with it. So that was pretty gross. Probably like mile 5 or so that happened. And then again, maybe at mile like, I don't know, 10 or so. I can't really recall. Maybe 11. But either way, yeah, it was pretty messy in that way. But I mean, it was one of the best, best courses I've done for a race, like pretty the whole time. Weather was perfect the whole time. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Couldn't ask for a better race on a better day.
Yep. So I ended up finishing about an hour before you.
Yeah. So I finished in the time that I wanted, under 4 hours. I think I finished 3 hours and 43 minutes or something like that. And I came in 4th from last. So 26th? No, 5th from last. So I don't know. I think I was like 26th or 25th or something. I don't really know. There might have been 33 runners. I don't really know how many runners there was. But yeah, so I did good. I was happy with how I finished. I was happy at the end, which is always a plus for me. And that race was just definitely one for the books. I mean, if you live near or in Oregon, do it because it is crazy. It's a super beautiful race.
Yeah, it's probably the most beautiful race I've ever been to. I mean, it's super pretty.
Although I don't know how great it would be if it was rainy.
Yeah, if the weather was bad, that would have put a damper on the whole event for sure, because it can definitely get miserable on the coast when it's windy.
Yeah.
So luckily there was minimal wind. It was nice and sunny. Wasn't too hot or anything like that. So I mean, it was just the stars aligned, and we had a really good day out there. So I think we got lucky in some aspects, but overall, man, that area is just so pretty.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So let's see here. So would you recommend this race?
Yeah. I mean, overall, definitely. It was, like I said, it was beautiful, and especially if the weather cooperates. So I liked it a lot.
Would you do this? Like, is this something you would tell somebody to do that hasn't done any like trail runs or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad race. I mean, the time, you have ample time to do this. And like I said, there's that 1/4 mile option. So if you just want to do like the 6 mile or whatever, 6.5-ish mile run, that's an option. and that might appeal to some people as their first trail race. So definitely, I would say this is a good one to check out, if you're anywhere in the area, just because it's so pretty and the race is well organized, and it's probably a good first go.
And even though there's elevation, because for me, elevation is really tough, I didn't feel it as much in this because it was so pretty. I was so focused on a lot of the beach or the water or even just like the cliffside views. And I wasn't as focused on climbing as much as I would have normally been in a race where you can't really see much or you're having to look down the whole time and you don't really notice what's going on ahead of you. So that was another plus for me. And I think I would recommend this race as well. Definitely if you live in the area, this is a really good local race for you guys. And then I don't know. I think I'd say I'd recommend it for a first race. Seems pretty brutal for a first race, just the elevation and maybe the distance if you haven't gone that far, but definitely rewarding at the end to say that you've done that and just the beauty of the race itself. So yeah, I mean, we definitely got lucky with weather, but this was one pretty race. So yeah, I think I'd definitely recommend it for a first time race.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, there's ample time, so you could hike it if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I don't even think there was a cutoff.
Might not have been.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Okay, so do you want to talk about gear at all?
Yeah.
What'd you wear?
So yet again, I wore my Timp 1.5s. I actually wore the exact same thing I wore at the last two races, which is just main things. My Timp 1.5s from Ultra. I'm still really loving those. I think I'm probably going to buy another pair here shortly for some of the races I have coming up later. So probably after this road trip. And I'm probably going to size up to an 11.5.
Really?
Yeah, the 11s feel a little bit smaller than the version 1s did, so probably going to go with 11.5 when I buy the next pair. And then I wore my Solomon vest, same vest I've worn for most of the races in the past couple of years. Those are the big ones. I mean, I also wore a sweatshirt and long leggings because the weather was a little bit chilly. And yeah, that was pretty much all I wore. I didn't stop at any of the aid stations. I pretty much just went straight through because I had a bottle of water on me. And I mean, for 12 miles, I didn't really need anything aside from just that one bottle of water. So that worked out well for me. What about you? Did you wear anything interesting? Or
I wore pretty much the exact same thing as well. I did wear coats or a coat in the other two races, which I decided not to wear this time just because it was cold when we started, but I didn't think it would rain, and I didn't want to have to take something off and hold it. I'd rather just be cold when I start and then warm up. So I didn't take any gloves, and I didn't take a coat that I had been wearing for my last two races. So that was the only difference for me. So, so I wore the Brooks sweater that I've been wearing. I actually wore a hat this time instead of a buff. Just wore my hair down, no braid, which was fine. I thought it was going to get in my face with the wind and seemed fine. I guess I was sweating enough to where it wasn't a problem. And then Ultimate Direction, is that the...
Yep.
So my pack was Ultimate Direction. I actually probably didn't even need to bring a pack. I probably could have gone away with just using the aid stations just because they were pretty close, and there was a small water area that I could have gotten water if I needed it, which I didn't really know that was going to be there. But for the aid stations, it
is a cupless race also.
Oh, totally. Yeah, so probably a good thing that I did bring my pack then, because I wouldn't have gotten anything without a cup. So yeah, good to know that. The first aid station was 2 miles in, just at the very top of that climb, which was about 1,000 feet. And so I was happy to have that there. I didn't drink very much water, maybe like a fourth of my 16-ounce water bottle. So not anything crazy, but I definitely filled it up just because I knew I wasn't going to get aid until mile 10, or I thought I wasn't going to get aid until mile 10. And so I don't think I ate anything there. Yeah, I didn't eat anything. I didn't feel like I needed anything for 2 miles of a warm up. But so then after that, the second time coming through the aid station, actually, I asked for water, and I was just about to be out. I probably had like 2 sips left in my water bottle, and they ended up giving me electrolytes, which was great for me. I had 3 gummy bears, which probably didn't need those either, but oh yeah, I should probably add TMI, but for all the ladies out there, definitely started my period at the beginning of the run, which was awful.
Ew.
Well, sorry, but it happens. And so I had the worst cramps that, I mean, it was brutal. And so I was trying to climb and dealing with that as well. And so it was nice because Sai, who I was running with, she had some Tylenol. So I took that, I think at mile 8, climbing back up that big hill. So after that, I felt pretty good. But for those first few miles, I was definitely struggling in that aspect. But yeah, so getting to that aid station at 10 was really great when that guy filled my water bottle up with electrolytes, mostly because it was so cold. I don't know if they had packed ice in there or what, but oh, it was so good because that was freezing. And the flavor could have been a lot better. It was like basically watered down orange juice or whatever they do. So flavor was gross. But overall, that was really great for me. And yeah, same pants that I'd been wearing. What were the pants that all of David's clothes, basically same gear that I talked about in the last 2 podcasts. Some warm leggings.
They're just some New Balance leggings.
Yeah. And then shoes, same shoes, Superior 4s.
By Ultra.
Yes, which still I really enjoy. I did have a blister going into this race, which I thought was really going to bug me. Which, I mean, it didn't bug me on any of my training runs, but I knew that just like having elevation and longer distance running and just, I don't know, ruts and like moving your feet certain ways that you're not used to. I mean, it wasn't a flat run. So just moving your feet in different ways, I wasn't sure if it was going to rip or, I don't know, create another blister or whatever. And it seemed to be fine. So at the end, my feet were fine. Ankles were fine. I didn't really have there wasn't anything on me really that was too sore other than just the climb and, physical labor after like 2 hours of just sitting in a car on your way home.
Yeah. I mean, after the race for me, it was nice because I stripped half naked. I just had my boxers on and laid in the back of my truck bed. And the sun was shining down on me, and I haven't felt sun on me in so long.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt good to soak it up. And so I was glad you came in quite a bit after me because it gave me time to just sit there and do nothing but soak in sun and chill out. So it was a really nice weekend. I had a good time.
Yeah, and the after of the race was also a lot of fun, too. We don't normally hang out for too long after races. We're kind of just like, we get our medal or we get our, whatever award we might get or, T-shirt. And then we're kind of just out of there. We don't really eat much of the food or, take part in any of the barbecues. We're kind of just, all right, let's go.
Well, if I'm running a longer distance, I want to eat what I want to eat.
Yeah.
And I want to eat shitty food at some place, whether it's burgers or whatever, or pizza. Like, I put in the effort to burn a bunch of calories and I'm going to fill right back up and then some by eating a bunch of shitty food. So
yeah, so we don't normally hang out much, but this was a little different just because they did have that raffle with the cards, which actually I didn't mention. On the way back, I was trying to take a picture of this pretty cool bridge that you run across. It's kind of like I don't know, wavy type, I don't know what you would call it, drawbridge type.
Suspension bridge.
Yeah, okay. Suspension bridge. And I was trying to take a picture and I pulled my phone out, and that's happened to be where I'd placed both of my cards. And as I was pulling my phone out, one of the cards just like whoop, right off into the side of the mountain and or the cliff. And it was a little windy, and I wasn't trying to fall off the cliff. So I was like, well, not going to be able to get that. So yeah, I lost a card. But what are you going to do? So then I didn't get the picture and just continued running. But yeah, it was cool. At the finish, they even offered you water when you finished, which, I mean, isn't a huge deal, but it was really nice to cross the finish and just have a nice cold water there. So
yeah, that is the one thing I like about these winter races is the water's always cold.
Yeah.
Whereas in the summer, a lot of the times you just get lukewarm, shitty water, or sometimes it's even hot.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah, so that was nice. Volunteers were wonderful. Every single person that I came across on the trail was so nice. I saw, because I'm back of the pack, I did see the two sweepers, and I say they'd probably were like an hour outside of everybody. Like they started the race, an hour outside or so. So as we were coming up from the big hill at the end, which was like mile 8 or 9, as we were coming up from that, they were going down the hill just to make sure everybody was okay and caught up. And they asked us if we wanted water. They offered us gels, which, I mean, it's a half marathon. You don't really need any of that, but it was nice of them to offer. And they just chatted with us for a little while, and super nice ladies. Everybody at the aid stations were really nice. It was just a really, really fun race for me, and everybody on the trails was just lovely. So that made it a really, really good day.
Yeah.
And so then we did the raffle, and I think there was like 9 people that ended up winning. There was like 5 shirts that were given away, a couple of like random like hats, and then
there's a bunch of shit, and I was the last person that won something, which was an extra large tech shirt that didn't fit me, obviously. For
Northwest something or other, some type of running.
Yeah, some running shop in Vancouver, Washington, and maybe they have another shop somewhere else. But
so and they said we could trade it in.
Yeah, we were gonna hit it on the way home because it's not necessarily right on the way home, but we could have swung by there, but we opted not to.
Yeah.
So we skipped that, and I don't know where that shirt is.
It's in. I know where it's at. It's just in the pile in the room up close.
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much the race.
Yeah, it was fun. Do you have a favorite part of the race?
Probably that section that I was talking about after you come up over the first big climb, and it's just like chilling all the way down on that cliffside. It's just super nice, and you can just smell the ocean, and it's really pretty. I love it.
I think I agree with you. I was going to say my favorite was down at the beach, but I don't know that it was, because then I just thought about having to climb that big hill again. And when I was just rolling, looking at the beach, that was a lot prettier to me, not having to think about climbing back up a hill. So yeah, I'd say I think that was my favorite too. And just the overall like collecting of the cards just made it just a fun adventure.
Yeah, almost like a little scavenger hunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was fun. And then I'd say, I don't know if I even have a least favorite. Maybe just the mud.
Yeah, I was going to say the mud. The mud was definitely the worst part of the race. But
there was a couple frozen parts, which I did slip on.
The bridge was slippery as shit.
I don't know that I noticed that the bridge was slippery, but there was this part that was cliffside. There was a part that was cliffside, and I came running. This was on my way back. Well, on my way out, it was a little downhill, so I didn't really notice that it was icy. But on the way back to the finish, I stepped in just the wrong spot, I guess, and my foot slipped out and I fell. And it was pretty scary. I thought I was going to slide off the cliff because it was definitely icy, but I happened to catch myself with my other foot. But yeah, it was that was pretty scary having the ice there. I didn't anticipate that. I guess I just didn't notice it on the way out for some reason. But yeah, I definitely slipped on that on the way back. But
I slipped on the bridge a little bit, and then I fell on that root. But root or root?
Root.
Or root?
Root.
So I tripped on the root, which really started to hurt me at the end of the race too. Like at mile 10 or 11, I guess it was a little bit before then, because it was when I was climbing up the last big climb. I felt just my arm was really starting to ache and my knee was starting to hurt. And I was just like, man, I'm so glad this wasn't like an ultra, like a 50K or more, because that would have just totally ruined my whole day. So, but it sucked still, nonetheless.
Did you clip your toe? Like, did your toe ever, like your foot ever get affected? Or was it like just happen to like hit the top of your foot and then just fall?
I don't know what that means.
So the root was sticking out. When you hit it, did it hit your toe, or was it like the top of your foot?
My toes are on the top of my foot.
No, they're not. The top of your foot does not grow toes.
What do they grow out of then?
Oh my God. Did your foot hurt after? Like, when you kick a rock or you kick a root and you have like that pain in your toe, like, oh crap, like you think you're going to fall, but then you don't. And your like toe hurts because you jammed it at the top of your shoe, or you feel like your toenail just fell off or something. Like, did you have that feeling, or was it just everything else hurt so bad you didn't notice?
It did not hurt my toes.
Good to know. All right. So next races, we have a race.
Damn, I'm already done with the race, huh?
Well, there's not anything else to talk about.
Yeah, I get you. This is kind of a shitty episode, but if you made it this far along in the episode, good for you. Now I'm fine with closing this out, watching some gold shows.
To be fair, it is late at night for us, and it's been a couple of days since the race, so not entirely fresh on our minds.
I don't know. I'm ready to wrap it up.
Okay. All right. So the end of this month, in about 2 weeks, we have our road trip, which should have been the next episode, but we put a little bonus in here. So yeah, that'll be March 23rd, Behind the Rocks, and that's going to be a 30K for the both of us, and Moab, Utah. And yeah, so that's our next race we have coming up, and I don't know the specs on that, but
yeah, we'll cover all that in the episode that goes over the race. And like I said, I mean, that episode, which we'll do, who knows when that'll
probably
come
on
out.
Vacation or no?
Oh, hell no.
Oh no, not if we're going to hit all those places. Yeah.
No, this will be, well, because the episode will be about the entire road trip, not just the race.
Yeah.
But it'll include the race and the whole road trip, like everything we do on it. So
hopefully that's our best episode.
Yeah, that'll probably be the second week of April that'll come out. But we'll see. So there's going to be a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
Oh, almost a month.
Yeah, because we put out so many in the last couple of weeks that it's been good though. 3 episodes.
No. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a little race in between now and the time we leave. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not, but maybe. I wasn't expecting this one, so this was a bony episode.
Yeah. So that's all we've got.
Yep, that's it. That's
all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. I don't know how soon. April?
Yeah, maybe like a month.
Yeah.
Probably a month.
All right. Well, see you later.
Sorry that you had to listen to this. Thank you if you did.
Bye.